putting a very strong focus on your responsibility, your ability to manage your thoughts and to watch your thoughts and take total responsibility for your thinking. Because that's the deepest level of your being, is the thought level, the belief level.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why the course was called a Christian Vedanta. Because Vedanta is saying, and so is Zen and so is Sufi, they're all saying this, that the level of belief and identity and thought is the core to, closest to home to work with. And until you get on that level, and you're just trying to change your energy from the outside in, or your emotions. But that's not it. It's really going down to the core.
Yeah. It's not an easy job, I can imagine. Or is it?
Because you have to. It depends on the person. It depends on how ready you are.
Yeah.
If you're absolutely desperate for truth, then you find it easy to surrender the false. So hard and easy are relative to the person's mind state. It's easy to awaken if you're ready to awaken. But that being said, most people find it hard what the Course is telling them to do. Constant forgiveness, constant humility, extending love as Christ did, and really facing the illusions of death and accepting the reality of God. People don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Even non-dualists don't want to accept that there is God.
It's a bridge too far.
Yeah. It's almost too. So there's a lot of nihilism in the ego, in the mind of ignorance.
Mm-hmm.
It wants to believe in nothing and have no responsibility.
Yeah.
And just not to exist anymore. So if a certain non-dual teaching has a little bit that flavor that nothing matters.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you happen to kill someone today, that's fine.
Yeah. Nobody was there anyway.
Yeah. Right. No, but that's not true, because the world, there's a moral law in you. There's a spiritual love and light in you that you are. So when you break those laws, you experience the consequence, which the Course calls hell or heaven. And, we don't have a choice as to, I can't not be this spiritual being that I am.
Mm-hmm.
But non-duality seems to tell people that you don't have to be anything. Especially that you don't have to be intelligent.
Yeah. Everything just happens as it happens. And all those other dogmas. I think they call it the Advaita shuffle.
Well, everything's happening, yes, but everything's happening for reasons to do with your own ignorance or wisdom. So it doesn't do me any good just to say, well, it's just happening that I hit my child or...
So you have to be very alert to what is going on in your life, circumstances, people you meet.
Before you realize the divine will or the greater will of things, you have to take responsibility as if, I'm responsible. Even though I have a limited identity, and I have a limited understanding of the greater will, I have to first take responsibility.
The ability to respond, someone once explained to me.
Yeah.
But let's say I'm walking in nature and I suddenly see an elderly woman fall into the water. I don't have to think about what my response will be. I just respond. I just jump in the water and try to save the woman. Yeah. Is that then the divine will working through me or as me? Or we all know those kind of moments where you don't think about what you do, you just act.
Your will is the divine will, yeah.
Always.
That divine will is also, it's another word for the intelligence that you are. The responsiveness, Yeah, the sensitivity, which is love as well.
So let's say me doing those interviews, which don't bring me any money and takes a lot of time, and it feels great doing it. Is that a sign that, well, this is just my thing to do?
Yeah, when it feels great, that is a sign.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you don't think about what time it costs or money or investment.
Because you've been through doing things just to do them, or it was a good job. Now there's a higher inner reason, and so yeah, that's exactly right for you.
And how is that for you? Because I understood that you have your PhD in psychology. You could start working as a psychologist and start earning the big bucks, I don't know, but with a fair amount of income, I guess. But instead you choose to come to Holland and to talk to people, which doesn't bring, I can imagine, a big fortune to your bank account.
I do both, actually. I do practice psychology, so yeah, well, neither one of those is really bringing the big bucks. I'm not, I'm not bent on that.
No.
Yeah, I'd rather have a more balanced life. Yeah, but the teaching is something that comes to you, that you just have to do it. You enjoy to do it.
I once heard a teacher tell me that, well, it's not always a blessing. It's something that gets thrown into your lap, and here, deal with it.
It's true. It's true. Yeah. Yeah. It's not always easy.
No.
And there's different ways to do it as well. So.
You also do one-on-one sessions with people through Skype.
Mm-hmm.
And how long does such a path take? Is it a half a year, a year? Can you put a amount of time on it so I know when I'm ready?
It depends on the person. It depends on what they're ready for. Some people are closer than they think. They're more ready than they may think.
Yeah.
Lightning can strike at any time, of course, so it's hard to say. But some people need to work more on their foundation, on their maybe they're totally immersed in false thinking and dramas, and they need a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that takes a while.
And does it help if I, let's say, read your book and then the other big books by Nisargadatta and that? And could you say then, well, he's ready for it?
It helps. Yeah, it really helps, because you're acquainting with the teachings have a certain flavor, have a certain medicine in them, and sitting and reading at your own pace, that really builds the ground for it. Yeah. So I recommend it highly. Yeah.
The Art of Freedom: A Guide to Awakening is your the book that is being officially released in November of this year.
Yes.
And there are some teachers, Michael, who tell me without crisis, no awakening. Do you agree with that? And if so, what was your big crisis then?
Not everyone goes through an exact crisis. Some are more coming on a smooth path. So mine was a little more smooth because I was a lifelong spiritual seeker.
Yeah.
So I was kind of moving like along the staircase, so to speak. I was in school for psychology, and I became more and more interested in absolute truth and freedom and awakening, whatever that might be.
Mm-hmm.
So there came a point, and this does happen to people who are on that path, that I couldn't maintain the identity project, the false identity project. I didn't have that interest. So it's a kind of crisis in that you cannot believe in the future that you might have once believed in. and well, in my case, I let go of certain social relationships and distractions. It's a crisis. It's an inner crisis where you have to understand that nothing in the world is going to fulfill you. And that's a crisis for everyone.
Yeah.
But it's a crisis that leads to then the rebirth. Yeah.
But do you still have to try out all those things? Because I can say I know that it's not into the big bucks and in the big car and a lot of attention from women.
Mm-hmm. Do you have to do it all? No. No. You will do it all if you still don't really understand. But like in my case and in other people's experience, you reach a point where you know that's true before you maybe did some of it. Now you at a certain point you have enough insight and you know it's not going to work.
Yeah.
So then the spiritual urge and interest it's stronger than the other, and then you don't have to go through all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It still can happen. I mean, do you still buy, let's say, a $500 watch or go on a vacation with a 5-star hotel in believing that is going to fulfill you?
No, I do. I would buy that $500 watch and go to that hotel knowing that I will enjoy it just for what it is, nothing more.
Yeah.
I mean, it has nothing to do with that's not spiritual. It's just, do you know that it will not fulfill you? Or is it part of your identity project? Then it's it's really gonna be a disappointment. But once you're free, you can enjoy, anything.
Yeah. But is there still a need then to?
No.
No, there's no need.
No, there's no need for it.
No, I can
you take it with equanimity. You take it with. It's fun.
Yeah. Okay. I have some more dogmas from the Advaita world I want to hold on to you, because that's the thing I'm mostly anti-interview with. But let's say people tell me the world is an illusion, and someone comes to you and says, well, the world is an illusion. The only thing that's real is my presence here. You know, we both followed Eckhart Tolle a lot. We can talk about that maybe later on. But this world being an illusion, what does that say to me, and can it help me?
It can help you. It's part of other teachings too, though. You know, that has to be unpacked. That's a big statement. What is the illusion? The illusion is that the world exists separately from me, and that that reality is matter or solid stuff.
Yeah.
That's the illusion. That's the sense in which the world is an illusion. So that has to be understood. In what way is that an illusion? But sometimes people think that, and they think that means also that I am entirely an illusion myself. But no, you are real. You are consciousness or spirit.
You do not mean the body. You mean that
the body. I mean the formless. Formless. But the body's just it's just an expression of that. It's just an appearance within that, and it's a vehicle of that. So it's not separate. It's not like it exists separately from spirit. But in and of itself, a body is not, existing. It exists. It depends upon consciousness, whereas consciousness does not depend upon the body or the world. So in that sense, the world is an illusion.
That's a great insight you tell me, because when someone faints or someone dies, you know you just see what this body is. It doesn't. It decays. It just vanishes. So there must be something that makes this body come alive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a divine intelligence, and you're here experiencing it for a reason.
And that reason is different for all and everybody, or is it just the one reason?
Pretty much the one reason, but everyone's having a little different twist on that. Yeah, depending their obstacles. So the one reason is because you need to realize your real nature. You need to realize that more fully, completely, clearly. and then everyone has a little different blockage to that, little different road to that. Yeah, but all roads lead to Rome.
Yeah, and it really sounds also very how do you call it, equal. That it doesn't matter if you're from the slums of India or from the upper class of Amsterdam.
Yeah,
we all have this path.
Yeah, it's really the same. We're all going to the same place.
Yeah. Other thing which is mentioned a lot, of course, I can imagine you get a lot of questions from it, is the ego.
Yeah.
Is the ego the? Some people tell me the ego is the big bad wolf. Some people tell me the ego doesn't exist. Some people tell me the ego is only exists because you believe in it.
Yeah.
You're a psychologist, so I must know you know a lot about the ego.
Well, psychologists have 100 different definitions of ego too. But the way I would put it is, ego, generally people mean that's your false self, that's your false identity.
The image.
Yeah, the image. But when you use, the way we use the word ego can be confusing. So the way I put it is that you are consciousness, you have a mind or an intellect that thinks.
Mm-hmm.
You can think by using that intellect. You can believe in false thoughts and create a false identity. I don't refer to that as ego, I just call it ignorance. It's just a false idea. So, but when people personalize the ego, they start saying, well, my ego wants this, my ego wants that, my ego is doing that. Well, then you're making it as if it's a separate thing, like a demon inside of you.
An entity.
An entity. And that does not exist. But if someone, for example, Eckhart Tolle says the ego is your false identity, that's very simple. But usually people start then thinking, I'm split into my real self and my ego.
Yeah.
And that's just confusing the issue more. I think of it more in terms of reality and illusion. Your real nature and ignorance.
Yeah, funny you mention Eckhart, because that's what I picked up from him. He talks about the ego and he puts on a little face like this. He goes like this little gremlin inside of me. And he also talks about the pain body, and it says the pain body and the ego work together to... It's almost like you have an alien inside of you.
But it's all the same thing, and it's not a person or a force. It's just something that operates in a seemingly autonomous way when it's there.
Yeah.
But it's thoughts. It's just based in beliefs. So seekers need to come to grip. First, they maybe acknowledge that they have this gremlin or ego. Mm-hmm. Then they start to understand the real inner dynamics of it's false beliefs that then I act on those, and there's then these create these urges and mistaken desires and bad decisions and negativities and terrible moods. But you have to realize it's not something else called an ego that's doing that. It's simply your ignorance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Adida once said, "Ego, it's not an entity; it's an activity."
It's a process.
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah.
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 Anything else you picked up from Eckhart, which you say, well, that was for me very clear? And
Eckhart, what I like about his teaching, and his teaching was one of the first for me as well, that made a big impact. He says that you are conscious presence, you are the observer. And that's, I like the simplicity and clarity of that, because you are that presence. And that intelligence is here. It is you. Whereas some people, when they learn about observing, then they're saying, but now I have to go beyond the observer. Now I have to go beyond consciousness and become nothing or the absolute or something. And that's just really adding, to me, too much complexity and confusion to it. Because the fact is, you can't go beyond consciousness. It is the absolute, as I use it.
Yeah.
Consciousness is not your ego. It's the intelligence by which you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Eckhart kept that very simple as well.
You ever
Yeah.
met him or been to one of his talks?
I've been to one of his weekend
Yeah?
seminars. Yeah.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to interview him. When I met him already in the hallway of the hotel, this one big light came into the room. You know, it's so very, like a walking sun.
Yeah.
You almost have to put on sunglasses
yeah.
when you see him.
Yeah.
You had that same experience when you saw him live?
He was up on a stage.
Oh.
No, I didn't have exactly
No.
that experience, but I certainly, my life was illuminated by hearing his book as I was driving in a car, and I was changing my understanding at the deepest level was changing as I drove, and that was opening the energy already. So
Great.
that was really like a darshan there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're talking about the audiobook of The Power of
the
Now.
Power of Now.
Yeah. He also did some talks with Oprah Winfrey.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's nice to see that he reaches a big audience.
Yeah.
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 So ever planning on doing stuff like that? Maybe something on TV or radio or...
Who knows?
Yeah.
I go where I'm asked to go if it seems reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is this something you think you're going to do for the rest of your life? Is this something you get like almost contaminated with, like after nuclear war? There's all atomic stuff in the air. Can you get rid of this knowing? Or
No.
is it no?
No.
You don't
can't
want
get
to.
rid of it.
No.
No. No, it's forever. It's totally there. I mean, you can be born with it.
Bored.
Born with it.
Not
Yeah.
bored. Born.
Born with it.
Yeah.
You can be. I was born with it as well to a certain extent. So you can never change this knowing that awakens in you. It's there. But for me, there's no missionary zeal about it. It's really, that is totally gone. That's more a symptom of the initial awakening.
Yeah.
There's a kind of extreme excitement and bliss.
You're in love.
You understand it was, it's so powerful. It's a great discovery. So, but the missionary, zeal to bring it to people and deliver it on their doorstep is no longer there. I mean, it's really letting people come to you, and I don't worry about the world or anything like that.
No.
Yeah. So
How does it influence your work as a psychologist? I once heard of someone who says, well, psychology, it's just taking like taking aspirin when you're standing on your own foot.
no, that's too simplistic. It depends on the level of wisdom in the therapist. If the therapist has a lot of wisdom of awakening, then there are many tools then that function within the intelligence of consciousness that become even more powerful, more skillful, more effective. You can really share and open the beauty and love in someone. So it totally depends on the person. The assumption in the non-dual world seems to be that every therapist is not enlightened. Well, why assume that? Why? That's not reasonable.
Yeah.
If the therapist is realizing, knowing that truth, then it becomes more powerful. And there are also many practical relationship and world issues that there are ways of working with that are very helpful, even if you aren't awakened. So it is helpful on its own level.
Yeah. I don't think we have used the word love already. Maybe in a sentence, but how is a love relationship to you? Are you in love with all and everything, or is there that special someone which you say, well, that's love, that is love which became flesh?
Yeah. The love is really of the self for the self, or the soul for the soul, for that which is one in all of us. So you love that. That is love. It's not, you can't love every personality, because personalities are driven by, hate and wants and ignorance. They're not all nice or likable. So what I love is the truth and the light in that everyone is, that I am. And that is love. So, and then you can have specific relationships and friends, within that. but it's the same love. It's just a different form.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like Jesus said, that bum who is knocking on the door, that's me too.
Yeah.
That's also love. Maybe you have to look twice. But then people always come to me and tell me, "Yeah, tell me about those bombers in how do you call it? Those terrorists in Paris and all over the world, Manchester."
Yeah.
That's also love.
No, what they're doing is not love. Not at all. It's ignorant and it's ugly hatred. That you cannot pretend that is beautiful.
No.
But what they are in their essence is love, but they don't know it.
Yeah.
So you have to see the difference there. We shouldn't pretend that anything anyone does is wonderful. I mean, that's childish.
Yeah.
You know, ignorance is not fun. It's really terrible.
But I still cannot, when I tell people, I say I feel empathy also for, not only for the victims of something like that, but also the one who did it. And their families and their brothers and sisters.
They are in terrible suffering. They are living in hell. Absolutely.
Why would you otherwise come to that action? Yeah, that's total confusion.
So you also feel compassion for Trump?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
You see him suffering all day on television.
Yeah. Politicians suffer. Not just him, but everyone who believes in their big self-image and is trying so hard to be something.
But what's the right way then to, let's say it's my father, who also believes that he's his story with a lot of things that went wrong in his life. What I asked you before the camera started, what's the right way to act with someone who believes his story very much, or her story?
What can you say? You love them. You maybe learn to say less. You learn that you cannot change them, so you treat them with kindness and respect and care, but you have to let them have their own process of suffering and discovery. And if it's maybe toxic for you to be around them, it's not feeling so great, maybe because they always complain or they always criticize you or something, then maybe you would spend less time with them as well. So that is also love too. That can help them, in fact, to face themselves. Yeah, but you have to be sometimes very patient with them. Very patient. Well, wisdom brings patience. So it takes a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah.
In this world.
Yeah. Because you want to say, "Oh, come on, stop the drama. You're being such a drama queen. Get over it. Look at what is going right in your life."
Well, at some point, maybe you say that and it works, or it sinks in to some extent, but maybe not. Who knows? Yeah. Sometimes you can be fierce and strong in saying something if you've really had enough. But who knows? Maybe you know that it's not worth it. I don't know.
Well, I stopped feeding the story of someone a long time ago, I guess, because I know, I can go with you and say, "Oh, that's very bad for you," but I cannot do it anymore. It's because I used to be the way around, that people fed my story. When someone broke up with me, I started phoning everybody and talking about it.
Yeah.
Instead of feeling what it did to me.
Yes. It's impersonal. The suffering that we go through is impersonal. It's something we're doing to ourselves, though not consciously. So it's kind of an impersonal energy or state that just has to have its way until something, the light starts to awaken.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be by reading a Michael Damian book or watching Eckhart Tolle on DVD.
No, it can be anything. But if you have the book, why not read it?
Yeah, of course, yeah. Why is it called The Art of Freedom? Is freedom an art?
It's the art of discovering freedom. I like to call it an art because it's something subtle. It's something that has to do with beauty.
Mm-hmm.
For me, freedom is a major word because usually when you ask someone what they want, they don't say, I want freedom. They say, I want happiness, I want love, I want fun. But what we learn is that, oh, it's my suffering that blocks me from that? Totally. So what I need first for the happiness is to get freedom from the suffering and to discover that I am free in my essence. And then all the happiness and love that you are and vitality comes and blossoms.
Yeah.
And that's the art of it, and that's the beauty of it. So that title came to me. Yeah.
And did that change Michael Damian, the person? Did this body mechanism, whatever they call it, become a lovable, more lovable guy, or a more loving guy? Or
Yes, he did. Well, that first, it's not a he. It's not a like the ego became more lovable.
Mhm.
This is what the personality is, like a window through which the light comes.
Yeah.
So it's a window.
Gives it a taste.
Yes.
Or,
Yes, a shade, a color.
Yeah.
So what happened was the personality that used to reflect more heaviness, more moods, more ignorance, distractions, confusion, that got cleaned. It got cleaned and cleared away to a great extent.
Yeah.
I mean, the shift was massive. So, yes, the expressed personality is totally different. Things remain that are part of the personality that are they're just neutral. Whether I like coffee or tea or whatever, those things stay.
But could you still rob a bank?
If I absolutely had to, I would.
Yeah.
No, why would I rob a bank,
Well,
by the way?
I just asked that because some people think there's such thing as enlightened behavior, that from now on you will never drive through a red light or whatever. Nothing bad is being done anymore.
Well, there is enlightened behavior. So the answer to that is no, I wouldn't rob a bank, or I would be much less likely to hurt someone or to lie or steal or cheat or... Yeah, that is because the morality it's a natural morality, because you realize that everything you would do to hurt another or cheat or steal would be because you're trying to get happiness from an object outside of you.
Yeah.
And once you realize that there's nothing out there that is going to complete me, and I'm fine as I am, and I have my balance of pleasure and pain, and that's fine, then why would I do that? Especially when I realize that everyone around me who I would do that to is my own essence, is not separate from me, is also a feeling, sensitive being. You do become, your behavior does become more enlightened. That doesn't